Hello, welcome back to my 2-day live where I'm showing you how to get your video podcast ready in Adobe Premiere Pro. If you're new here, I'm Hallease, digital storyteller, video producer, past Adobe creative resident. I be on the internet in so few words. Shenanigans always ensuing. So yesterday, if you were on the stream, you got to see and work with the Premiere project I built out for you. We can go ahead and share my screen. And remember, I was able to submit to y'all some assets to download of me and the lovely Andrew creating a very simple, quick video podcast for y'all to work through. As you'll recall, I showed you some of my favorite different presets that I use within the Adobe track or the audio track mixer, audio track mixer to balance audio, get things to where I want for the video podcast. And then I also went into the essential sound panel and showed you a few things in there as well. So if you didn't catch yesterday's live, definitely hit up the replay because I packed a lot in those 25-ish minutes. Today, we are going to now take our vertical content that we kind of just started yesterday and finish it out. You'll recall that we ended up creating some very simple closed captions at the bottom of our screen, sort of set in the default, and that's as far as we got yesterday. And I also showed you, I cannot speak today, y'all, sorry. And I also showed you how to use the transcription feature built into Adobe Premiere Pro as well, and how you can quickly edit things, change things as well. So again, if you haven't gotten to check out yesterday's stream, definitely check out the replay because there you go. So for today, we're gonna finalize creating this vertical content. I'm gonna show y'all how I usually do this. So, a lot of times if you're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc., you'll see people promoting their video podcasts on the platform. But generally speaking, if you have a video podcast, your content's going to be horizontal, 16:9, all that kind of fun stuff. You're going to keep it widescreen like we have here. But for the vertical, we don't really want all this dead space. We also don't really want our text down below. So today we're going to kind of finalize and walk through how I generally do my promotional content for my video podcasts when I create them. The first thing I want to do though for this is I'm actually going to move to the vertical setup because we're working in a vertical sequence. So I'm going to come up to the top here and I'm just going to hit vertical. And I like coming to the vertical setup and starting with this layout for this sort of thing because it kind of lets me see my program monitor really big on the side. And I just feel like it just gives me a better workspace when I am going to do this kind of content. So now let's go ahead and make some adjustments to our closed captions here at the top. And by the way, as we're watching this stream, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We have some amazing moderators over there to help keep things moving forward. So go ahead, ask those questions away. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go ahead and highlight all of our, pushing too many buttons at once. We're going to highlight all of our captions here at the top. And then open up our essential graphics panel, which for me is already open here because I've sort of reset my vertical layout. If for some reason yours doesn't show up there, then you can always just go up to Window and then Essential Graphics to bring it up. And then I'm going to move to the Edit tab. And you'll see with the Edit tab, it's now acknowledging all of our captions and the style of it and all of that, which is just right now set to be the standard style of captions. So, okay, never mind, moved me, thank you. And so let's start to make some adjustments to just make this look a little better. Something I always do with my captions is I never keep them down here at the bottom, even though that's the default. And that's because, when you're posting to Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts even, all of that content the overlays for the app itself usually kind of take up most of the bottom third. And so, the whole point of having captions is so they can be read, right? And so we want to just like adjust those up. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my safe margins. Again, I mentioned these in yesterday's live, but safe margins, I'm going to go ahead and turn them on. If for some reason your safe margins aren't there, that little icon doesn't appear for you, just go to the plus sign in the corner and you'll see all the different button editors you can add, and just bring the safe margins one into there. You can just drag and drop. It's really easy. Anyway, all right. So with all of our subtitles highlighted, I'm first going to actually just move them up. I usually actually keep them in the center. This will make more sense later. Stay with me. But I usually start with them in the center. And then I'm also going to just pick my sort of standard look and feel for my closed captions, which I use Adobe fonts, and I usually use Cerevic. That's my go-to. I think I'm saying it right. I'm not sure. Anyway, I usually use bold. I like that. And then I usually adjust mine to be, as big as I can make it without it becoming 2 lines. And then, I usually like to keep a little bit of shadow, but as you can see, you can really start to mess with things. You can add a stroke. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll add a stroke at like 2 pixels. Yeah, just to like really reinforce the text. And sometimes I will also kind of mess with, how the stroke just presents itself on the lettering themselves. Usually I'll either go with outer or center, just kind of depends on the font, But as you can see, you can start to really just customize how the text appears, everything like that. If you want to add a background, you can. And all of these things are customizable to your heart's content. If you want to add a crazy color, you can. I usually don't. I usually stick to white, but you can. So I actually really like this style. Let's say I really like this style, and I'm actually working in this podcast in a master project. So if you're someone who's constantly editing, something I always recommend to people is build a master Premiere Pro project for yourself. So that way you can always come back, reference it. You're not always constantly having to go back and put in all the brand assets, put in all the icons you have, put in all the, just all the things. Build a master Premiere Pro project, and then, duplicate it and work from there, rename it, work from that. So you always just have everything in there. But let's say you really like this style. And you know that in general, this is always going to be the closed captioning style that you work with. It is your branded, social content. Here's how we do text on screen for closed caption style. You can save it. So that way, every time you're not having to go through and reinvent the wheel like we just did. And the way to do that is to come up here within the Essential Graphics panel. You're going to come up here to the track styles. And right now it's set to none. But what you're going to do is you're going to just create a style from this. And the reason why create a style isn't working, I believe, is because I have so many things highlighted. Yes, there we go. So because I had so many highlighted, it just kind of assumes that there's probably differences and it doesn't let you do it. But just click on one and then hit create style. And it'll bring up our new window called new text style, and then name it, obviously something that lets you know what it is. Let's say, let's call this just like CC standard Hallease. And then we're going to hit OK. And you'll see now we have a new icon in our folder right there. And so again, the reason why I think it's really important to create a master Premiere Pro project is every time you create a new project, those caption styles won't be in there. But if you work from your master and build them all in your master, every time you open that project, they'll be there. So let's go through now, and I'm going to just like mess around with all of this so you can see what I mean and how it works. So I'm going to like change this to something crazy. We're going to blow it out of proportion. We're going to drop it down here. We're just going to do the most, crazy color. Boom. And we're like, okay, this is bad. This is not what we want. We have to now do our whole thing. What I would do is just do what I just did. Go to our track styles, and you see it already appears there. I clicked on it once, changed everything back to what I had already saved that style to be. So again, working smarter, not harder in Premiere Pro is always the way to go. So our text looks good. We like where it's at. Now let's focus on getting our picture to where we want. So what I usually do in the beginning is I actually like to double everything up. So I like to create this horizontal picture. I like to just scoot it down usually, and then I like to have whoever is actually actively speaking be in the sort of top half, if you will, of our overall vertical layout. So that's what we're gonna work through creating right now. And I usually don't overthink this. I just keep it pretty basic. So right now, purple is who? Okay, purple's me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and have my clip highlighted and be in our effects controls up here. And I'm just gonna go to our position. I'm just gonna slide me down. I have to get rid of that so you can see it, but I'm just gonna slide me down to where I more or less line up. And I usually like to pay attention to the value. What are we doing? Down, so that's y-axis. I usually like to pay attention to the value that I have, so that way everything's, matchy-matchy. And then I come to the second person, go to their motion, paste that value there, boom, down. So this looks pretty good, perfect. Now I want to have whoever the active person is speaking, I want them to take up the majority of the top of the screen. So we're always kind of giving people context of what the whole horizontal frame looks like. But since this is vertical, I want my main person speaking to take up most of it. So what I'm going to do, it starts off with Andrew first, and then, no, I think it starts off with me. Yes, I asked the question. It starts off with me first, then it goes to Andrew. So right when that happens, I'm going to go ahead and just put my playhead there, and then on a Mac, it is Command Control K, or Shift Command K, I believe. Yes. On a Mac, it's Shift Command K. Ooh, and then I'm going to undo, and I'm going to lock. Yeah, because it did it to my, it did it to this subtitle layer as well, which we don't want. But to cut at your playhead, literally everything that is on the timeline at the playhead is Shift Command K for a Mac, and then Shift Alt K for a PC. If I'm wrong, sorry, y'all. Sorry, PC users. I have it programmed into my mouse, but that is the command. And then boop, do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take me, which I think is this one. Yes, me. I'm going to hold down, and I believe the shortcut is Option, and drag up. Yes, but I didn't drag up correctly. It's off by a frame. Let's try that again. Let me turn on my snapping, which is the S key shortcut. Again, so hold down Option, drag up, and I'm still doing it. I'm still off a little bit. Interesting. I wonder why that's happening. That's fascinating. Oh, I see what's happening. There's a little space at the very front of my timeline. I must have messed up when I did that yesterday. How interesting. Hallease, why'd you do that? All right, we'll keep going. It's fine. But that is an easy way to just bring up, make a duplicate clip very quickly onto your timeline. It's just holding down Option, and whatever you want to bring up, or move over, just drag it over. And then I'm going to do the same thing with Andrew, because I believe this is Andrew, right? Yes. I'm going to do the same thing with him when he's talking. Hold down Option, drag up, boom. Oh, it must be just a little off in the timeline and overall. That's fine. All right. So now we've doubled up everybody, right? I'm speaking in the beginning. So with mine highlighted, I'm going to now just bring my duplicate up. And honestly, I'm just going to start from scratch. So I'm just going to hit the reset parameters just so I can see what I'm working with, because I honestly kind of don't, know. And then I'm also going to take the crop off. Remember, we had cropped this in yesterday's live just to get our setup and layout the way we wanted. Don't need that crop anymore for this one. So we're just going to take it off completely. Just hit the delete key. Nice. And now we see me in more or less full screen. And then, yeah, we're going to just blow me up. We're going to blow me up pretty big, because I believe this sequence I made for y'all, I can't remember how I built this project for y'all. Yeah, I made a 4K vertical sequence. A bit overkill. Sorry, guys. But you could have probably just done a 1920 by 1080 4K sequence, or so a 2K sequence, vertical sequence, and been fine. I kind of went a little overkill with y'all. Sorry. Um, but we're gonna go ahead and blow this up, which is fine because when we export it, we'll just export it at 2K vertical instead of it being 4K vertical, which is just like I was doing the most. Sorry. All right, so we're gonna have this be right about here. I like having a little bit of a black line between the two, like a little bit of demarcation. If you ever wanna like really understand where your bounding is for a clip, all you have to do is highlight the motion button, and you'll see now we have our blue line kind of showing us exactly where this clip ends in the frame. And I think that looks pretty good, you know, like I don't hate this. Let's play this back a little bit. What are your favorite animated shows right now? Okay.
So my
Oh, what happened to our crop there? Mess with that later. All right. So first half looks good. I will say with this framing, the text is a little high. So let's go ahead and adjust that. And I think because we're going to keep this framing more or less, this is kind of our like standard look right here, the way we've set up these clips. So let's go ahead and uncheck our, unlock our subtitles, head to our effects controls. Oh, got too much stuff selected. Here we go. Where is it? There we go. Essential graphics, went to the wrong thing. Unchecked it or have everything checked. And now let's just come right here to our align and transform and just like bring it down. So it's not covering, it's not right on top of my face. And I still think that'll be a nice height to where we don't have to worry about all the overlays that are built into a lot of these apps that we would post this to. And that should be, yes, now everything is more or less right there. We'll have to figure out what's going on with Andrew's crop in a second too. All right, so let's lock this back. And now let's do the same thing for Andrew. So with Andrew highlighted here, because remember he's speaking now, we're gonna go to our motion and we're just going to bring him up like we did before. And honestly, work smarter, not harder, right? We could easily just take everything I did for me, highlight it. So highlight all the motion effects I've done. Command C, Control C on a PC. Go to Andrew, paste. Boom. So now let's play this back fully and see what we got. What are your favorite animated shows right now?
Okay, so my favorite animated show right now, I love watching Bluey. If anyone's watched Bluey, you know that it is far superior to any other show. And this is such a hot take. I would rather watch Bluey than like SpongeBob or Rugrat, like any of those. Bluey, top tier. It's just really smart and really fun, and they all have Australian accents, and it's great.
All right. So as you can see now, we've created a very straightforward, but still looks really put together piece of content that we can now share vertical. Looks good. Now, we could keep adjusting this, you know, we could maybe even make a little intro for it or maybe even a little outro for it. You know, you can always add some things like, actually, you know, and we've got time. How much time we have? Oh, we still have another like 5-6 minutes. Let's see what we can do, you know, before we have to call it quits for the day. But before I don't know why that's so off. It's very annoying to me. Sorry, y'all. The Virgo in me is like, I can't have this happen. It's like killing me inside. Anyway, ignore me. It's fine, Hallease. It's fine. Now, let's go ahead. I'll show you really quickly how I would export this just to make sure everything is looking the way I want. So to export, I always like to start off with an in and out. So all I did was go to where I officially want it to end the export, and I hit the O key on my keyboard, which means out, which creates this ending marker for us right here. Command M, Control M on a PC will now open up your export window. Or what you can also do is just come up here to the top to the designated windows as well and just move to the export tab. So that's how you do that. We would pick wherever we want this to go and change the name, etc. But you'll notice this is when it starts to get interesting with the presets. So right now you'll notice that everything is, you know, we have our video here, but we have all these black bars, etc. because right now it's set to be high quality H.264. Okay, so a super big 4K horizontal export, which is not what we want. So what I usually do when I know I'm going to create mobile content, I have actually built my own preset to export vertically, and I call it vertical 1080p. But let's say you don't have that, because you probably don't, because I designed that for myself. Let's say you don't have that. I would recommend just doing the mobile device 1080p HD. Just click that. And then from there, you'll see, again, it's going mobile device, but horizontal. We still have these black bars. Don't want that. We're going to open our video tab. And all we're going to do now is just hit match source. And you see now we have everything turned to a shade of gray. So that means there actually isn't, that's not part of the video picture anymore. And it's now the exact sizing that we want. Now, the only thing it did though, you'll notice, remember, it made our video now to be 4K, which I'm okay with because I actually usually post in 4K vertical. But I know for y'all, maybe isn't good. So now let's uncheck this box and let's just change it to be what we want. So you're going to unhook, unlink, and then what are we doing? We're doing 1920, wait, other way, right? No, 1080. Yes. I always forget which order to put it in because that's me. Yes, yeah, I did it in the wrong order. Whoops. All right. Custom. This one's 1080. This one is 1920. There we go. Okay, so now we have a smaller version of what we got going on, which is what we want. So that is what I would do to sort of like make it look exactly how I want it to be. And then I would either send it to encoder or just export it straight from Premiere because, you know, usually the vertical content you're creating, it's so short, unless you're, you know, kind of batch editing and creating multiple shorts, which I tend to do actually, put them all in a timeline, create my ins and outs, and then shoot them all to encoder and keep working on other stuff while they all export out. So, you know, try to work smarter, not harder. Batching is always the way to go. But that is how we would export this. Ooh, also, where's our captions? Are they on? They are on. Let's double check. Okay, cool. Maybe we just picked a spot where they weren't. The other thing to do while we're here, make sure your captions tab is turned on. Okay, so that way the captions you've done actually show up. In Premiere, it's not necessarily the default for them to show up once you move to the export screen. And then also, generally speaking, you're going to want to do burn captions into video. That's how you get the captions to show up that you've created. But if you're someone who maybe is a YouTube creator, for example, you can always create your transcript, have everything lined up to time code and everything, and just export out a sidecar file, which would be your SRT file. So when you upload to YouTube, you'll automatically have your captions ready as well when you go to the YouTube uploader, and just throw them in there as well. So then your captions are already ready to go. And you don't have to use sort of a third-party site to create your transcripts and captions for you on your YouTube videos. You can just do it yourself using Adobe Sensei. So yeah, that's going through the export process. I just wanted to make sure y'all know how to do that. Let's head back to edit though. How much time do we have? Oh, we only have like 3 minutes. Okay, well, we might not have time to get to everything, but I think this looks pretty good. I like the way it looks. One thing I will say that I wanted to make sure y'all know about. So as you know, you can download this whole project. I built it out for y'all to follow along with this live with me, but also mess around with it on your own. So I believe the way I designed it for you was that, let me go now to just our, let me just go to like our editing workflow, like really basic. Okay, cool. And then so I can see what we've done. Sequences. Yes. I believe I designed like, I made just like a simple breakdown, simple cut for y'all. But if you've got time, make sure to check out the footage again and see everything we were doing. And we threw some little gems in there for y'all in our actual raw interview. So you'll see here's my raw interview. There's his raw interview. I had went ahead and lined them up for you and cut together the actual promo. But there's a few little gems we sprinkled in for y'all to work with. So we recorded an intro as well. So you can throw an intro in and do all sorts of things with that. So make sure to like poke around this project, okay? If you decide to play around with it. I also gave you a music folder. So that way if you wanted it, you could create an intro, add some music to us, drop it down, bring it in, like make it a whole podcast for yourself. Really use the footage we've provided to like practice. With that being said though, for the rest of the week, I'm only with y'all yesterday and today. The rest of the week, we have another amazing woman who will be doing all sorts of things in After Effects, if I remember correctly. And I think she's going to be showing y'all how to create an intro and an outro and do some other stuff. So if you haven't downloaded her source files yet, go do that. Again, as we conclude, I am Hallease, a digital storyteller, video producer, and former Adobe creative resident. I be on the internets in all sorts of places. You can check me out on YouTube as well, very searchable. And thank you so much for hanging out with me on this live. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you when I see you.